All right, let's talk about building the ultimate chess improvement blueprint. This is for any player out there who's ever felt completely stuck, just staring at a rating that refuses to go up. If you're looking for a structured, proven way to get better, you are in exactly the right place. I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? You put in the hours, you watch the videos, you do the puzzles, and nothing. Your rating just sits there. It is one of the most frustrating feelings in chess. But you know what? The reason you're stuck on that plateau is probably way simpler than you think. And this really gets to the heart of the whole thing. See, on the left, you've got this passive consumption, just kind of watching videos, mindlessly clicking through puzzles, hoping the knowledge just seeps in. But on the right, that's active construction. That's deliberately building your skills piece by piece. Our goal today is to help you jump from that left column to the right one. That's the fundamental shift we're talking about. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the most important part, your mindset. Then we'll build a balanced framework for your study. From there, we'll dive into the specific drills you should be doing. Then we'll talk about how to adapt as you get better. And finally, we'll cover the common traps that just kill your progress. First things first, the foundation, your mindset. Because honestly, before you learn a single new opening or tactic, you have to get your head on straight. Real improvement starts right between your ears. And this is the absolute key. Your rating is a rear view mirror. It only tells you about the skills you've already learned. If you just focus your energy on actually understanding the game better, on chasing the skills, the rating points will just take care of themselves. They'll follow you, not the other way around. So building this foundation means a few things. Number 1, be realistic. Progress is measured in months, not days. Number 2, you have to start seeing every loss as a gift. Seriously, it's a free lesson that points a giant flashing arrow at exactly what you need to work on. And finally, you have to kill autopilot mode. Stop just clicking moves. Treat your games like a real competition. Be focused, be rested, and give it your full attention. Okay, with our mindset locked in, it's time to build the actual framework. This is where we design a balanced plan to structure your training so you become a strong, well-rounded player in every part of the game. At the core of this whole framework is the super simple but super powerful 1/3 rule. You just divide your training time into 3 equal buckets. 1/3 goes to tactics and calculation, 1/3 is for playing focused games and then actually analyzing them, and that last third, that's for targeted training on whatever your biggest weaknesses are. And this whole system is powered by what we can call the success wheel. It's a cycle that just keeps turning. You learn something new, you practice it with real intention, you analyze how you did, and then you get feedback from a coach or even just from your own deep analysis. And that feedback tells you the next thing you need to learn, and the wheel spins again. Okay, so all that theory is nice, but what should you actually do when you sit down at the board? Well, that's what this section is all about, the drills. This is where we get into deliberate, focused practice. Let's be perfectly 100% clear on this. Tactics are everything. They decide the vast majority of games for most players. If you can't spot a simple 2-move fork, I promise you, no amount of deep strategic knowledge is going to matter. This part is non-negotiable. Now, to help you in your actual games, you need a thinking system. You can't just stare at the board and hope for inspiration. You need a process. And a fantastic one to start with is the BAD system. Before every single move, you ask 3 simple questions. First, B is for blunder check. What is my opponent threatening to do to me? Second, A is for attack. Can I make a threat of my own? Any checks or captures? And if the answer to both is no, then you go to D for develop. How can I improve my worst placed piece? It's a simple but incredibly powerful mental checklist. So your day-to-day training drills should look something like this. When you're doing puzzles, don't just guess and click. Actually write down the entire line of moves before you check the answer. This forces your brain to really work. Then play just 1 or 2 focused rapid games a day, not 100 mindless blitz games. And maybe most important of all, analyze your games yourself first. Wrestle with your mistakes before you even think about turning on that engine. All right, let's move on to section 4, the path. See, a great training plan can't be static. It has to change and adapt as you get better. What a beginner should be studying is totally different from what an intermediate player needs to work on. This table basically gives you a roadmap for your entire journey. Just find your rating, and it tells you your number 1 priority. If you're below 900, your whole world should just be spotting 1-move threats. That's it. As you climb the ladder, you'll graduate to two movers, then more positional ideas like pawn structures, and eventually complex endgames. It's a step-by-step path. And that brings us to our final section, and you could argue it's the most important one of all. Section 5, the pitfalls. These are the common traps that you have to learn to sidestep if you want to keep improving. And this chart shows the single biggest trap in chess improvement: becoming obsessed with openings. It's so tempting to spend all your time memorizing fancy lines, but look, openings should be 10% of your study time, tops. The other 90% has to be on the fundamentals: tactics, strategy, endgames, because those skills apply to every single game you play. The other big traps to watch out for: passive learning. That's just watching videos without ever trying to solve the problems yourself. And engine dependence. You know, when you immediately ask the computer for the answer. You're not training your own brain. You're just letting the engine do your thinking for you. So when you boil this entire blueprint down, it all comes down to this one idea. You have to make the switch. You have to stop being a passive consumer of chess content and become a deliberate, active practitioner of chess skills. That really is the secret. So I'll leave you with one final thought to chew on. Look back at those pitfalls we just talked about: the opening obsession, the passive learning, the anxiety over rating. What is the one trap that you are going to commit to escaping, starting right now? Your real journey begins with that decision.